Alrighty, welcome into the Gary Ayd Show here on the Cave. Rich Anselmo throwing us into loop mode right out of the gate. Good way to start the week. Rich forgetting to check himself before he wrecks himself here. Bills did some self-wrecking.
I feel like the Bills this morning.
Oh, boy. We were just talking about that beforehand, and we'll get to that, of course, throughout the day. I want to start today with the opening rant, as I always do. And to me, that is, there's a few ways I could go with this today. But I think what I want to talk about was what we were just talking about before we went on the air here. That Bills game was something interesting. I was listening to a lot of this game. I have satellite radio, so I'm listening to the Bills feed. A feed I'm familiar with, at least play-by-play man John Murphy, I'm familiar with from my time living there a decade ago. I would listen on the flagship, which is, is it BNR?
WGR.
GR. I was like, I know it's an R. Okay, yep, WGR. And it's like coaches never want other coaches to lose their jobs. It's the same in the broadcast fraternity. I never root for anyone to lose a job. They're hard to get. There's few and far between. But there are also jobs that people tend to hold for life sometimes. And, the truth is you want to strike a balance between loyalty, consistency, and quality. And ultimately, it's my opinion that the Bills broadcast team on the radio side of things woefully lacks in that last category, quality. It's just not good enough. And
consistency,
to
be honest.
Yeah, well, they're consistent in the sense it's the same people over and over again. That's more what I meant by consistency, is like,
okay,
I know when I turn on NBC, it's Chris Collinsworth, for better or worse. And for
right.
a lot of years, it was Al Michaels. That's what I meant by consistency. But no.
Okay.
But to your point, the other definition of consistency, no, then you're right. But I kind of lumped that version of consistency in with quality under one umbrella. And the broadcast team of the Bills games is just not, in my opinion, they're just not good enough. And it would be one thing. It still wouldn't be acceptable at that level, given the quality of how many good broadcasters are available that would die for a job like that. But it would be one thing if this was, the radio broadcast team of the Jaguars or the Lions or some other team with a smallish audience that's also not very good. This is maybe, although maybe not, we'll get into this a little bit later on, but ostensibly a Super Bowl contending team with a quarterback who is quickly becoming one of the most recognizable stars in the NFL. There's going to be a greater number of people, out of market people than normal, like myself, listening via satellite radio and other means to this group. And that's going to be, for a lot of them, their lone connection to the team. And that's not good enough. They're just not up to that challenge. And I hate to say it. I don't like to, come on here and rag on a fellow broadcaster. An opinion maker is different. I don't mind, getting after someone like Stephen A. Smith or anyone for that matter when they put out an opinion. But I don't mind when people get after me for putting out opinions. I put out my share of those too. That's what opinion making is about. It's about sparking debate. Being a play-by-play broadcaster, it's certainly art, and certainly there's a method of healthy dose of subjectivity into what's good and what's not. But there's more objectivity in evaluating a play-by-play man versus a talk show host in some respects. And it's just my professional opinion that, objectively speaking, John Murphy and Eric Wood are just not up to the task. Both of them are well below average for their particular role on that broadcast pairing. And I think Buffalo could do a lot better.
I agree. Murphy was not always like this.
Yeah, no, he was better 10 years ago when I listened to him. He still wasn't.
He was a decent broadcaster.
He was solid. He was okay. He was passable. He was never great, but he was solid.
I've never liked Eric Wood.
How long's he been there?
A while. I mean, with the amount of former Bills in this town, including ones with broadcast experience like Steve Tasker, there's no excuse to have him as an analyst. He's a smart man.
Yep.
He was a very good center.
Yes, he was.
But this does not translate to radio.
No, he's not.
And I'm like you. I've done play-by-play and color. And I don't like criticizing any of them. There's some I like, and I'll express my like or dislike for, but I like John as a person, and that makes it hard.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
no, it's not up to par, not for an NFL broadcast.
No, I mean, and what got me today with this was I was listening to this game yesterday, the end of it, and boy, this game was something. We got to get into this. We'll probably do that next, but I'm listening to the end of this game, and of course, Allen threw the interception to end it, and you expect, almost want, if you're doing a home broadcast, you want your home radio guy to be a bit of a homer, not maybe not over the top, but you want him to be clearly rooting for his home team. That's normal. And
you mean not like anyone who works for Nesson?
Yes, correct.
Oh, that's over the top in any sport.
Yes, it is. That's a good point. But you want your home radio guy to be sort of, on his team's side, and that translates to expecting a slightly more zealous fastball when something goes well for the team in a big spot versus otherwise. I mean, Bob Papa of the Giants does this brilliantly. You can tell by the inflection of his voice what team scored or did something good or bad. But you can also tell by the inflection of his voice, regardless of what team did something good or bad, where in the game they are and how big of a moment it was. And that's my criticism of Murphy, is that on that Allen interception to Peterson that sealed the game, I mean, it sounded like it was the first play of the second quarter with the Bills up 17-0, and he was just disappointed. Oh, Allen throws an interception, and he says that seals the game. That was the only part of it that indicated, oh, the game's over, was he said it seals the game. Of course, I knew, that the game was over, but the way he said it, it was like, man, it just didn't sound like a game-winning call. I mean, it was really, really not good. And I'm sorry, it's just not good enough.
I agree.
It's just not good enough.
I agree completely. I've been saying that for a few years, and like I said, it hurts me to say it.
Well, that's the thing with these play-by-play guys, right? Is they become a part of the community. They become a part of the fan base, and you identify with them after a while. And as a result, if you're, a fan of the team, it becomes personal. This is like a friend that you've never met, kind of, like that. That's the power of broadcasting, really. That's the power of radio.
It is. And John and his wife, Mary, are two incredible people.
Oh, I have no doubt. I mean,
they really are. That's why it hurts me to say this.
Yeah,
I've felt it for a while now.
Yeah.
It still hurts me to say it.
Of course. I mean, I understand. And I don't have that level of intimacy or connection with it, of course, because I'm not in market. But I happened to be turning that game on, and I thought, man, this isn't NFL quality broadcasting. It's just not. And it stood out to me. I was trying to find the call I was talking about here to kind of go into this game. I'm trying to see, there's so much audio here. I'm trying to find, by the way, a quick break. Justin Jefferson is a machine. That guy is crazy. That catch he made, we can't even play that on the radio because you have to just watch it. If you didn't see this catch, he literally was perpendicular to the ground with his arm viced between a defender and caught the ball with his fingertips and somehow didn't get it taken out of his hand. Rich, I don't know how he did that.
Wasn't that on a 4th and 18?
Yes. It's that doesn't even make sense. That has to be the greatest catch, if not I've ever seen. It's absolutely in the top 10. I mean,
the entire stadium had to know who that ball was going to on 4th and 18.
Oh, God, yeah.
And I get the Bills have zero healthy defensive backs. They're playing guys that are just signed, just off the practice squad. I get that. But 4th and 18, guys.
That was crazy.
You have to know that's coming. And it was an incredible catch.
Oh, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. And the thing about it was, like you said, it was under so much duress. I mean, oh God, it was just insane. All right, well, here's the call to end the game, and we'll get to the Peterson call too. This is the call to end the game. Now, I don't know. This might come from Fox, so it might not be the call I was looking for, but let's see.
And Allen steps up and throws an interception.
Yeah, that's not it.
Richard Peterson, and in this heavyweight bout, the Vikings with the knockout blow.
See,
the Vikings win the game.
That's how it was supposed to sound. I don't know who to credit there, but that's a quality call.
Right.
I don't have the Buffalo audio, but it was very uninspiring. Now this is Patrick Peterson. You talk about real, recognizing real, getting your flowers. This is Peterson, who I think was the defender on that catch, talking about Justin Jefferson's catch we were just talking about. I mean, this was crazy. Again, it was a 4th down catch, like Rich pointed out. So let's see what Peterson has to say about it.
What did you see on Justin's catch on 4th and 8?
I was right in front of him. Literally right in front of him. When he caught it, I saw him reach back and had a little bit of Odell, back in 2014 and whenever he made that crazy catch. And luckily, the defender was right behind him because it kind of helped him stop his hand from continuing going back even further. And Justin did a great job of, maintaining the possession of the ball. And what a great 4th down play, man. I mean, big time players making big time plays in this game throughout the entire game. So we want to continue leaning on our leaders, leaning on our 5-star players, and also our role players, to help us win ball games like this.
Patrick Peterson's a great spokesman for the NFL. I haven't heard him talk at length that much. That 40 or whatever second audio clip, that guy sounds like a man's man.
He was when he was with the Cardinals too.
Yeah, and he's a great football player too. I think he's a future Hall of Famer. I mean, I was looking at his career accolades at this point. He's certainly going to have a case. I mean, the guy's an all-decade team performer, multiple-time all-NFL first team. I mean, this guy's been a stud for a long time. That catch by Jefferson was something else.
He and Diggs went back and forth all day.
Yes, they did. And
that was fun. Now, let's get to Josh Allen, okay?
Yeah, let's do it.
He's reined in some of the head scratchers through these years, but every mid-season, he has 2 or 3 games that just make you say, what? What am I watching? Fans are attacking him this morning, and I get it. But let's take a look at this defense, this unit that closes out games. No. Last 4 drives, not counting the kneel down at the end of regulation. 1 play, 81 yards, touchdown. 13 plays, 66 yards, touchdown. 12 plays, 75 yards, a great stop at the 1-yard line. Overtime, 12 plays, 60 yards, field goal. That's not, and I know they're missing people. That's still not a defense that closes out games. You still have Matt Milano, Von Miller, Ed Oliver. You still have playmakers.
Yep.
They did not close that game out. So as much as Allen deserves to be hammered on this, and he has been relentlessly, that's a team loss.
Oh, without a doubt. One bright spot in this game from a Bills perspective is it looked like, at least for the time being, you cured your ails as far as the running game is concerned. Singletary had himself a ball game.
He did. He had a fumble, but they went right back to him, which I was happy to see. Usually they bench him when that happens. Not that it happens all the time, but it does occasionally. And they did. They still had issues stopping the run. And again, even taking the 81-yard run out, the average wasn't great. And it just goes to show you, when you're down close, the more times you can get it in the end zone, the better. The more times you settle for a field goal, you leave a door open.
Yeah, settling for field goals, time of possession, and turnover differential, in my opinion, are the three pillars of NFL success. If you win 2 out of those 3 battles, you're going to win most of your games. You'll be in most of those games. If you win all 3, you almost never lose.
And the Vikings won definitely. Won pretty much with the turnovers.
Yep.
Although they were close.
Yeah, this was a weird game, like you were saying. It was a entertaining game. It was a game full of suspense. And it was full of a mix of the spectacular and incredible, see Justin Jefferson, and the what are you doing and bizarre, see Josh Allen's last interception. I mean, like,
see that snap.
Yes, the
with
snap.
6 seconds left.
Yep, there were just a lot of things in this game. It was a weird football game, but a very interesting football game. And I'll tell you what, both of these teams are, these are 2 of the better teams in the NFL as we knew going into it. And they both clearly pointed out each other's strengths and weaknesses in this game. And I mean, it was something. I really enjoyed listening to a lot of this game. Man, I come away with 2 overall takeaways, broadcasting aside. From the on-field stuff, Justin Jefferson is the best receiver I've seen in the NFL since Calvin Johnson's prime. And I would say the next thing I take away from this game is I am so tired of hearing about Kirk Cousins being like the punchline of jokes. This guy is the quarterback of a team that is absolutely a Super Bowl contender and puts up significant points on a consistent basis. I know he didn't have a perfect game, but he played pretty well in this one too. And
no, he had a few WTF plays.
Yeah, well, everyone did. It was just a weird game,
right.
but Kirk Cousins is, to me, if I was going to start naming quarterbacks, he's somewhere between 10 and 13. Like, he's pretty good. He might even be as high as like 9. I mean, once I get past like the top guys, the Allens, the Mahomes, Brady and Rodgers, I still kind of put up in there for posterity's sake. You talk about maybe Lamar Jackson and maybe Dak Prescott. I mean, there's probably about 10 guys, but there's not a whole lot more than 10 that I'm going to get to before I start talking about Kirk Cousins. He's a pretty good quarterback.
No, I think Cousins is every bit as good as Prescott, to be honest, who still does not. I don't see greatness in him. I see good.
Yep.
I don't see greatness.
Understood. All right, well, let's take our first break. We'll come back. We got the question of the day. We got some other NFL games to look at. We'll take a look at the week that was. We'll look ahead to tonight's game with the Eagles, and we will continue on from there. It's the Gary Ayd Show, back after this here on The Cave.
Do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call. Because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at crazy low prices. They have access to great prices and discounts at over 500 different airlines. Plus 300,000 hotels and rental car companies. Their prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find the best price for you. Call SmartFares today and get ready to see the world with a fat wallet.
800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. That's 800-370-2460.
Come on, you watch the news. Be prepared to pay more taxes. Then if you owe back taxes or haven't filed in a few years, get ready. The IRS, the largest collection agency in the world, will be coming after you with the power to collect taxes by any means they want to. Hey, they can freeze your bank account, your passport, even padlock your business. Oh, good times. Look, if the IRS claims you owe them $5,000 or more in back taxes and they're coming after you, don't panic. Call my friends at Get a Tax Lawyer first. Their job is to negotiate with the IRS and save you money. They're experts at it. That's all they do, and you can trust them. In some cases, they have reduced a $50,000 tax bill to less than $1,000. If you owe the IRS $5,000 or more in back taxes, call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. That's 800-649-8617.
All right, we're back. And so let's hit the radio question of the day real quick, and then we'll continue on with the NFL stuff. Here we go.
Buying Chili's can change the game. I am KO, back in 1 minute with your sports question of the day.
If you have diabetes and you're on Medicare, you may qualify for a free continuous glucose monitor system. The new CGM systems can automatically manage your diabetes better for you. And by using a CGM system, you can eliminate forever one thing most people with diabetes hate the most: finger sticks. Now it's possible to manage your diabetes better, end the painful finger sticks, and get a new CGM monitoring system at little or no cost to you. We even provide in-home delivery and do all the insurance paperwork for you. Now is the best time to manage your diabetes better and get your continuous glucose monitor. Call now for details. Call 800-438-1391. That's 800-438-1391.
Socios, a Malta-based blockchain-enabled fan token platform, has gained a lot of notoriety for offering fans the ability to influence their clubs. All supporters need do is buy Socios digital assets, or fan tokens, and they are granted the ability to make small influences on their club, like which songs are played during matches or which player is present for social media events. The more tokens they buy, the more influence they have. But buying the tokens is a little more complicated than a simple swipe of the credit card. Fans must first purchase Chili's, which is Socios' own unregulated digital currency. Question: which would you be most likely to invest in? Digital assets, like Socios tokens, or real shares in a club like Manchester United?
Oh, God, it's not even close. Manchester United.
They're asking the two wrong guys that question.
Oh, my goodness. At the very least, if you want me to go digital assets, at the very least, it has to be a digital currency I've heard of. Like,
yeah,
at the very minimum, I wouldn't touch any of it. But at the very minimum, it's got to be like Bitcoin. Like, I don't even think I'd even consider a different one. Like, I know there's a few others that have some notoriety. There's Ethereum, there's Dogecoin, there's a few others, but like, I'm not touching any of them. But like, if I was going to, it's not going to be some unregulated private. Well, that's basically like the Persian prince that emails you and says, "I'll give you all this treasure if you give me this amount of money first." No, go fly a kite. I'm not doing that nonsense. Talk about a scam.
Come
My
on,
goodness.
a Persian prince.
I'm telling you, man. I'm thinking I'm going to get like the cool robes from Aladdin, like, you know, with the Sultan's robes. Let's go. What are we talking about here? My gosh.
I wouldn't touch this. As someone who has had a couple of shares in a major franchise when those shares were available, I wouldn't have traded them for anything. I gave them up when someone made a 100% purchase, obviously, because I wasn't going to be that outlier.
Oh, yeah.
That went to court.
Oh, no. Well,
but
and just this week, there was some guy who's like 30-something years old. He went from a billionaire to broke in 24 hours. Cryptocurrency went by the wayside. This stuff is a scam, man. It's one level. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of Enron. That's what this reminds me of. If you're not old enough to remember Enron, it was basically a major company that Martha Stewart was involved in, and it fell apart. It's a big time. It was kind of like it was a straw hat type of thing. It was a company that was built on not solid products and services. Like, it was almost basically an organized version of multi-level marketing. Not quite that, but that's the best I can describe it. It was one of those things that if you were a savvy investor, which at the time I wasn't, I was only, a teenager or so, but you could just smell it a mile away. Like, yeah, this isn't real. And if you're buying into this Bitcoin and digital currency thing, what you're really doing is you're gambling and you're trying to time the market. That's what you're doing. Anyone that's doing this that is a savvy investor, that's their game plan, is to try to hit it at the right time and get out at the right time. That's what they're trying to do. They're basically playing roulette is what they're doing. They're trying to hit the right number at the right time. And some people did and some didn't. Yeah.
I did that. I bought Ethereum.
Right.
And sold it when it was at its peak.
Right. Yep.
I thought the one that was going to do something was Dogecoin. Mark Cuban takes that on the Mavs site.
Right.
Of course, he's a heavy investor as well.
Right.
But that really tanked too.
No, well, the thing is, it's because that's all the market is it's this buy and sell, fit and spurt, trying to time the spikes and valleys. That's why it doesn't have any consistency or validity, because everyone that's putting real money into it, that knows what they're doing, all the wise guys, so to speak, to borrow a gambling term, because that's what this is, it's gambling. All the wise guys, all the wise guy investors, they're buying it to sell it as quickly as they can to try to generate a quick burst in profit. That's all it is. It's not it's not a real stock that you buy and expect to appreciate over time. It's not like you're buying Walmart or Facebook or Coca-Cola here, where it's like, or for that matter, to the question, Manchester United, is a real thing. Like you're buying a lottery ticket. You're trying to time a market. That's why none of these cryptos have any type of stability for that reason.
Now, I would take a few shares of Man U in a heartbeat.
Oh, well, yeah, me too.
But I'm certainly not going to jump through the hoops they're suggesting to try and get them. And they weren't even offering them. If I'm going to throw that much money into something, I don't give a damn what song you play.
Oh, no.
Shares, we're talking business.
Exactly.
Songs, play what you want.
Exactly. I'm with you. I personally won't touch this stuff. That's just me. Not in any significant way. Like if I was just, gambling like I just described, yeah, whatever. But investing gambling isn't my form of gambling. I like betting on sports and I like playing poker. That's where I do my gambling. Investing, I'm as boring as white toast with butter. I invest slow, methodical, steady, hold, and that's like, I'm very boring.
I took a plunge on Ethereum from a tip from someone I respect.
Yeah. I mean, look.
And this person also told me when to sell. A month before the sell date, he told me when to sell. So that pretty much tells you what's going on.
Right.
And if you know, you know. The other ones I've never touched.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that one, I made a little money. Yeah. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, you can make money if you time it right. That's really what it all boils down to, is timing it right. All right. Well, yeah. So no, I think the answer here to this question in short is, yeah, like, give me Manchester United, please. As much as I can't stand soccer, I'll take Manchester United here over.
I'll take the stock though.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's a real thing. All right. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll get back into the football. Some NBA action from over the weekend as well. All of a sudden, Nets playing well. Is it because they are no longer dealing with Kyrie Irving, at least temporarily, or did they just hit a random hot streak? We'll discuss. Back after this, the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Are you like me? You have health insurance, but you don't have dental insurance. Do you need to get to the dentist right away? Maybe you need an implant or some other major service. Well, I found a dental insurance plan that's just right for you. It's called Spirit Dental. Spirit Dental offers a $100 lifetime deductible, a huge network of dentists. And here's the best part. There's no waiting periods. Yeah, that means you can call right now and have real dental insurance for you and your family tomorrow and get that immediate coverage you want. Spirit Dental has plans for just a few dollars a day, up to $5,000 annual maximum, and coverage for implants. Whatever age you are, the dental insurance you need is a free phone call away. Now don't wait, and be sure to ask about Spirit's vision plan. Here's the number: 800-631-9229. 800-631-9229. That's 800-631-9229.
Hey friend, life happens and you need money. What do? You call the special toll-free number we're about to give you. We will send you a link to your phone with details on how you can loan up to $5,000. Couldn't you use $5,000 to pay for your rent, pay grocery bills, get your car repaired, or whatever you need? It's up to you. We don't care. We're just here to lend you the money. And we'll lend people money with good, bad, or no credit at all. Of course, some terms and conditions apply, and you'll see those on the link we're going to send you. So if you need up to $5,000 maybe as soon as the next business day, call this number right now. We will text you a free link with details.
Paid for by Money Mutual. Call 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. That's 800-586-7112.
All right, we're back. And before we get back to the NFL, I want to address that quick tease that I threw out there. Nets have been winning some games. I think they're 4-1 now in the 5 games they played without Kyrie Irving. Kevin Durant's been playing well. So that begs the question. Have they figured it out? Are they gelling without Kyrie, as has been opined online? Or are they just merely on a little bit of a hot streak? Your take, Rich.
Who did they play?
That's what I was just trying to pull up.
That's all I want to know.
I know the Knicks were one of those teams.
Okay, that doesn't tell me much.
That's not super impressive, right? You have to pull up their last 5 games. But, I mean, look, it's no big surprise that Kevin Durant is playing well. Well, yeah, I hope so. That's kind of what you got him there for, right? Like, that's why you went through all this. But when you look...
Well, they lost to the Lakers.
Just last night, right?
Last night,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's not a good sign.
They beat the Clippers the night before that. So I don't really take back-to-backs. I don't give them as much plus or minus.
Right.
As a league that can't figure out how not to play back-to-back games. They crushed the Knicks. No one played on election day.
Right.
No one can vote and
No, that's not possible.
watch basketball at the same time. Geez, talk about giving your they lost to Dallas in what was a real good game. A real close game. A week from today, actually. And they beat Charlotte. So I'll give it to them on the Dallas game.
Yeah, Dallas is a good team.
The win against the Knicks was a blowout, so I'll give him something there. Because when you blow a team out by that many points, although Oklahoma City scored 145 yesterday on the Knicks.
Yeah, I saw that. That was crazy.
I don't know. Let's see what happens. Let's give it a little more time. 5 games is a real small sample size. Let me see 10 to 15 with a mixture of good opponents sprinkled in there. Maybe they are better without him.
Yeah, see, I guess I'm a little more kind of I have a little more of a take on this in terms of I'm a little bit leaning one way already.
Lay it on me.
I think they're an average team. And I think that this stretch proved it because it's a mixed bag of everything. Like we were saying, Rich, they have a couple of impressive wins in there. You know, they beat Dallas. They destroyed the Knicks. But then they have some duds in there. They beat the Clippers. But then they lose to the Lakers. And they got crushed to one other game in there to a lesser team. I mean, so it's a real mixed bag.
Well, they beat Charlotte.
They beat Charlotte. So they beat a bad team. They lost to a good team. They lost to a bad team. They killed a bad team. This, to me, sounds like a middle-of-the-road NBA team. And
like I said, I don't put as much on the Lakers loss because it's a back-to-back. You know how I feel about back-to-back games. There's no reason a pro should have to play them. And fee on the NBA for not figuring this out after all these years.
Yeah, and I don't have any issues with back-to-back games. There's no reason the pro shouldn't be able to play them. I kind of look at the exact opposite way. But
They could play them, but you're not getting their best.
well, but if
You're
you're,
not.
but no, that's fine. But if you're a good team, as the Nets are supposed to be, you shouldn't need your best against a terrible team like the Lakers.
But the Nets aren't a good team.
Well, there you go. That's my point.
And the Nets do not have a player as good as one player on the Lakers.
Right. No, and
So that's a little different when you say bad team.
well, that's my point. That's what I'm getting at is I don't think they're a good team, and I don't think they're better without Kyrie Irving. I don't even think that makes sense. Whenever teams, I guess that's the other thing with this. Whenever it is opined that a team is better without an elite talent, I question that person's sanity. Like, I understand the soft things like chemistry and cohesion, and there is such a thing as too many chefs in the kitchen and too many guys who do the same thing. But that's not what we have here. The truth of the matter is with this Nets roster, sans Kyrie Irving, it is Kevin Durant, and then where else are you getting consistent offense from? I mean, Curry and Harris will hit their open shots, but who else is creating offense? It's not Ben Simmons. He's scared of his own shadow anymore.
No one.
Like,
no one.
You can't tell me you're better without Kyrie Irving with this roster. Now, if they had like a Spencer Dinwiddie still or a Jalen Brunson, along with the other roster pieces they have with the shooters I just mentioned, then I might be able to entertain the argument. Well, maybe because you can replace some of what Kyrie does with that guy. Right now, if Kevin Durant doesn't create it, it's not getting created.
Right. See, or I can't say they're better off without him. They are better off without the distractions, but they're not better off without the player.
Right. And the distractions are largely created by the way they've chosen to handle this too. The organization is not blameless. Right. Oh, they're there.
I'm not saying they're blameless. Don't get me wrong, but they are there.
Oh, yeah, of course they are. And I guess what I'm saying is they're there largely
and
because
this is a fragile team. This is not a team that can handle that.
Right.
Kyrie's with the Lakers. They thrive on this. They'd win 8 in a row. They would.
I know. It's funny. It's like I'm listening to an audio book right now about the life of Ty Cobb. And one of the things he was known for is Ted Williams was this way too. Jordan was this way. Certain great athletes are this way. They thrive on adversity and drama and things of negative energy. They turn negative energy into a positive force for them. And I feel like the Lakers as an organization have done that consistently for decades in a way that like no other organization has. All the other examples of it are individual players. This is like the Lakers DNA, man. It's like their blood that flows through that organization. If they don't have drama, their blood is stale. They need that drama to live. That's what they live on.
Absolutely.
It's the truth. It's crazy. All right, couple other NFL games to get to. I'll tell you what, this is an interesting week. By the way, don't look now, folks. And if you're listening, Jack George, here's your moment in the sun. The Lions are on a winning streak. It counts. It's 2 games in a row. A winning streak for the Lions. Game over. They beat the Bears. This was actually a fun game, 31-30. Tennessee handled Denver 17-10 in a game that went pretty much according to script. Miami crushed Cleveland. Cleveland stinks. They really stink. And I am so over the Sea Hags. I pick against them. Then I finally pick them and they lose. This is why I hate this team. I can't win for losing with those clowns.
I picked Tampa Bay for a good reason. I think that a 13.5-hour flight says it all.
Mm-hmm.
That took a lot out of them. In the second half, they were fine. They came back and played really well. They were inches away making one play to take that game. But a 6-hour flight's a picnic compared to a 13.5-hour one.
Yeah, that's true.
Or an 8-hour flight. I'm sorry. It's still a picnic compared to 13.5. Plus, the game's being played 6:30 a.m. their normal time. There was no reason to have Seattle here. And still, Tampa Bay barely beat them. What does that say about the Bucs?
Yeah,
Even though they're leading their division.
I think
It's
both
5-5.
I think both of these teams, and a lot of the NFL for that matter, it's hard to say what any of these teams really are. I'll go through a few of these 8 games. That I'll tell you one thing. One thing I am ready to say: Justin Fields is the real deal. The Chicago Bears finally have themselves a real quarterback. Now they just need to build something around him.
I wish they had something around him.
Yeah, I mean, this is the second game in a row where he's combined for over 400 yards and multiple touchdowns. He had 2 rushing touchdowns, 147 rushing yards on 13 attempts, and 2 passing touchdowns, 167 passing yards. You'd like to see him balance that out a little bit more, going more toward the passing at some point, but, you give him a break on that one. Who's he going to pass to? He can't throw to himself. And, that offensive line is terrible. So at some point, you want to see that balanced out. But this guy's a special talent, man. This guy can really play. You put him on a real team, and you might have something. The Bears, I think, if they play their cards right, could be a contending team again in the next year or so. Because it's not like once you have that position kind of figured out, you can make a lot of progress in one offseason with building something around him. It doesn't have to take 2 or 3 years at this point.
Well, you got Chase Claypool, which is a nice start.
Yes.
A couple of offensive linemen wouldn't hurt. He also needs to learn to not bail on the pocket so quick.
He does bail on it fast. He does.
He's looking to run.
Yes.
Which is why he's an erratic passer.
Right.
The more he stays in there and looks for receivers. I mean, if you don't have a choice, you don't have a choice. Go. I mean, Allen still does it.
Right.
Mahomes still does it.
Yes. I mean,
if
even
you have to go, you go.
Even Aaron Rodgers at his age will still do the occasional scramble.
Yeah. If you have to, take it.
Yep.
But he has to learn to throw the ball. He's still that's his biggest area of improvement. If he does that, they get him a couple more linemen and a couple of weapons. Look out.
Yeah.
He has that it factor that a quarterback needs.
Yeah, the guy's got a lot of skills. And I really do like him. He's got the right body for it. He's got the build. I mean, I think this guy can really make a move here. And the Bears are one of those organizations, Rich. I know everyone loves that he's like a cult hero, McMahon, but he wasn't really a good quarterback. I mean, he was competent and he did what he needed to do on that particular team, but he wasn't what you would call a good, let alone a great quarterback. This is an organization that since Sid Luckman in the 40s really hasn't had a great quarterback. I mean, really ever. The 40s is basically never in the context of the modern NFL. It's really, I mean, if you think about it, who's been their best quarterback since Luckman? Was
Bobby Douglas?
Was it Douglas or Rex Grossman?
He ran for 1,000 yards one year.
Right. Rex Grossman got him to a Super Bowl. He was the starter for a few years, and maybe that's
McMahon was an average quarterback who was a good quarterback for that.
Yeah, he fit the puzzle.
His personality
Yes.
fit that team.
Yes.
His leadership abilities fit that team. The fact that he'd run through a wall just like the rest of them fit that team. Toughness fit that.
Oh, no question.
Of course, that's also why McMahon had a short career.
Yes. Yeah, but
Can you imagine if they monitored concussions then the way they do now? McMahon wouldn't have had 4 years.
Oh, no. And now you look at Justin Fields, getting back to him. I mean, he, to me, is the best quarterback they've had,
in a long time.
Maybe ever. I mean, I know it's really early, but the bar is really low, is my point.
Yes.
To be the best ever on that team isn't going to take a lot.
No.
That's my point. A couple other scores here. The Giants off their bye continue on to 7-2. They beat the Texans 24-16. Solid, consistent professional win. Nothing special about this game, but the Giants more or less led the whole way. They were up 7-0 after one, up 7-3 at halftime, outscored the Texans 14-7 in the third, and then 6-3 was the score in the fourth with the Texans getting the 2 field goals. So ultimately the Giants here Nice professional, consistent win. Jones, workman-like, 197, 2 touchdowns. Barkley was the engine that drove the ship, as always. 35 carries. They were not afraid to give him the ball. 152 and a touchdown. Slayton almost 100 yards, 95 and a touch on just 3 catches. So, yeah, man, Barkley is becoming my favorite player to watch. I just love the fact that the Giants are willing to be an old school offense and just say, we got this bell cow and we're using them. I mean, 35 carries, Rich. That's a lot of carries.
It was a game I didn't doubt from the beginning.
Right.
And hey, what a surprise. It was a very well called game.
Yep.
Like I told you before the show, how much is Buffalo missing Brian Dable? I think a lot.
I agree.
The team was a lot more creative in the red zone with Dable, and that's something you just can't learn.
Right.
But the Dolphins annihilated the Browns.
Oh, they did.
Absolutely annihilated them. And he can't throw the ball more than 30 yards, but I'm going to start giving props to Tua.
Yep.
He gets that. If he gets that team in the red zone, he's going to do good things.
No, you're right. You're right.
And he does.
No, I'm
Titans beat the Broncos. Oh, man, Russell Wilson looked horrible in a game that was very winnable.
Yes, it was. Yeah,
Kansas City beat the Jaguars.
Mahomes was special. Mahomes was special in this game.
I'm going to give a lot of props to Jacksonville.
Yep.
They came back. They played hard beginning to end. And Lawrence did as well. Steelers got a win against the Saints, but they won.
Oh, by the way, talking about coaching, the worst coach in NFL history, according to many pundits, including us. Gonna eat some crow here a little bit. Jeff Saturday was good on Sunday.
It's one game. You took my pun. I was just going to say Saturday's got to prove a lot more to me to show he can win on Sunday. You notice Matt Ryan was calling all the plays and quarterbacking, which tells you a lot. Surprised the owner didn't interfere.
Yeah.
And the Raiders just flat out suck. If they don't win another game really this year, I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, they do suck.
And I'm putting the Rams in that boat.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting there with them too. I agree.
You got beat by Colt McCoy, who's a nice quarterback.
Now,
there's a controversy in Arizona. Should Colt McCoy start next week?
Oh God, please no, please no.
He's not going to.
No, I know. But to be fair, the Rams also had their backup quarterback in this game too. It was a battle of the backups. Stafford didn't end up playing. It was Wolford in this one as well.
No excuses.
I'm not giving an excuse. I'm just saying it was backup versus backup.
The Bills didn't have their entire secondary.
Yeah, no, but it was backup versus backup. Getting back to this Colts game for a second, though, regarding the Raiders, can we just fire Josh McDaniels now, please, and get it over with? Can we just be done with him as an NFL coach? What else do we have to prove?
My list.
What else do we have to prove? This guy's had a couple of chances. He always stinks. He's an arrogant SOB that I'm sure is not popular in his locker room. He has so much of Adam Gase in him in that respect.
Yes.
I think he does have some actual chops as an offensive coordinator as opposed to Gase, but that's his role. This guy needs to be Norv Turner. We need to stop giving him. He needs to be Chan Gailey. He's not a head coach. Let's stop giving him head coaching jobs. He's an offensive coordinator. That's what he is. He absolutely cannot lead a team. This is clear. This Raiders team is too talented to be this terrible. I put this 80% on the coach here. I really do.
Well, he's second on my list. Coach Nate's got to go first.
Great. Let's just fire them both, and they can go. They can travel home together.
God. The Titans played a very uninspiring game, and you couldn't draw something up for your $250 million quarterback to win with it. You suck. Period.
Yeah, that was
Cowboys. How about them Cowboys?
How about them Cowboys dropping?
They really showed up.
Oh my goodness, what a disaster! What a disaster!
They really showed up.
I mean,
again, he will never be the best quarterback in that division for me, ever.
Who is though?
Hurts. I said that before the season. I like Hurts better. I'm not saying he's great, but he's a hell of a lot better than Dak. Dak just gets the national media love that he does not deserve.
Well, wait a minute. Prescott wasn't bad in this game. He had 3 touchdowns, 265. That's not a bad performance.
He left a lot of plays on the field by just not using his head. And there's no excuse for it.
I like
too
Prescott
long.
a lot more than you do. I think he's better than Hurts. I still think
I think he's average. I think he's average with a lot of national media push. Now, a team who's not average, and they're going to show it over the next weeks. That Niners defense in the second half was brilliant.
They clamped down.
Brilliant.
Yes, they did.
And man, I feel sorry for Justin Herbert.
Oh, he got brutalized.
He did. Bosa was all over him. That line was in his face constantly.
He got no support from the running game. Eckler couldn't do anything.
No, and he had no one to throw to.
No, this defense, they pitched a perfect game in the second half. They really did. I mean, that second half, well, they shut him out in the second half. The Chargers managed 16 points in the first half, and that's all they got.
And that's only, if it had been any other quarterback, they wouldn't have got that in the first half.
Right. No, you're right.
I believe it. The Niners are firing on all cylinders. Their weapons are healthy now. Look out, NFC.
I mean, they barely scored touchdowns in this one. McCaffrey got 1 rushing TD. And I think that was the only touchdown of the game. It was a defensive touchdown.
Yeah.
Well, no, it was all field goals. Was it?
A lot of.
I mean, yeah, I think it might have been all field goals. The Niners had, looks like I think it's 15 points on field goals. It's pretty intense.
Well, you can win with some field goals when your defense is that good.
Yeah, when you have a defense like that, there's no question about it.
And I'll tell you what, Garoppolo looks comfortable with these weapons.
Oh, yes.
It looks like he's having fun.
You know, he's a good quarterback on a team that fits what he's doing. You mentioned that Niners defense. Grenlaw led the way with tackles. As far as sacks are concerned, you had Willis get 1. Onolanu got 1. There was only those 2 sacks, believe it or not.
How many pressures did Bosa have? He was in his face all day.
Yeah, he was. Nick Bosa,
and especially in the fourth quarter when they knew he had to throw.
Oh, Bosa did get a sack too. I missed that. Okay, yeah, Bosa did get a sack. Yeah, this is a great defensive showing, no question about it.
From what I saw, he had to have at least a half dozen pressures.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
What a defensive game. I enjoyed that. That actually I enjoyed more than anything.
Yeah, that was a good game. It really was. So there you have it.
We covered every game. Look at that.
We did. Good job.
Now we're like pros.
I'm telling you, we've done this before, I think.
I think so.
All right, we got the top 5 coming up on the other side of the break. So let's
you're going to like this one. It's inspired from yesterday.
All right, let's do it. So let's hit the break. We'll come back in 4 minutes and do the top 5. It's the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave. Alrighty, what is up? Gary Ayd Show here on the Cave. Rich trying to dance. Never a good thing. Always trouble.
Always. Hey, that's when you can tell I'm having a great time.
That's that kind of day. It's a Monday. Always good in the NFL season. Lots to get to. We covered the games. We got some NBA to talk in the second hour. A little baseball hot stove. The Texas Rangers emerging as the favorite, perhaps, for Jacob deGrom. We'll get to all that in due time. But right now, top of the hour, which means it's only time for one thing. That is the top five.
This is the moment we've all been waiting for. It's time for King Talk Radio's Top 5.
There we have it. Thank you, Jack George. What do we got today, Rich?
Well, looking back on that exciting NFL game yesterday between Minnesota and Buffalo, and it was exciting. Name me your top 5 all-time exciting NFL finishes.
Well, the number one has to be whatever Super Bowl that was where the Titans lost on the 1 yard line to the Rams, whatever number that was. I forget the number. It's like high 20s or low 30s or something, but it's 20 odd years ago. But yeah, that has to be number one, right? I mean, by definition,
that's when the Rams were at their peak.
Yeah. I'd probably be more apt to say either the Atlanta Super Bowl or the Seattle Super Bowl if I wasn't so bitterly disappointed with the outcome, particularly the Seattle one against New England. I mean, I think that was career defining as far as I'm concerned for three people, for Brady, for Pete Carroll, and for Russell Wilson. I think it's a defining moment of certainly the latter two's careers. And I think it's the Super Bowl that basically put Brady over the top in the minds of a lot of people as the best ever. I don't think winning Super Bowls determines that, but I've never had a lot of support on that stance.
You know how I feel about winning titles.
It's just a team effort. And I mean, in that case, that was lucky as hell. I mean, let's just be real.
Was Russell Wilson the best player on that Seattle offense?
I don't even think he was the third best player.
Who would you say was?
Marshawn Lynch.
That's who should have got the ball. Not rocket science.
And I think second on that list would be Lynch Marshawn.
Yes.
Running backwards. I don't care. Let's see. It was a fun finish. The 96 playoffs. 96 or 97. And Terrell Owens, who had about 7 drops in this game, caught a game-winning touchdown from Steve Young in the back of the end zone and just started bawling. He was a young player at that time. He might have even been a rookie. And he just absolutely got it done. And he was just so happy about it. It was probably, if you talk to Terrell Owens, I would imagine it's one of the most, if not the most important moment of his career.
I think it was his second year.
Might have been his second year. Okay, yeah.
He really broke out after that.
He was a young player at that point. I know that. Yeah.
I remember that well.
Yeah, because that would have been up there. Another exciting finish to me was I think it was 2006, the year that Peyton Manning brought the Colts back against the Patriots to go to the Super Bowl, and they ended up beating the Bears that year. That was really an impressive win. Elway had a number, of course, the drive. Cleveland's still scarred from that. Yeah, that's like an all-time classic.
The fumble.
The nice play. Good job with the helicopter scramble late in his career in the year they won the Super Bowl against, I think that was Atlanta that year, or maybe that was Green Bay. That might have been the Green Bay game.
Yeah, that was the Green Bay game.
Atlanta, they destroyed. Elway didn't have to take any such chances in that game. They blitzed Atlanta and beat them by a lot.
Atlanta should be used to that. They got beat a couple of times in a Super Bowl game like that.
Let's think of some others. I mean, last night's game was spectacular. It really was. That was just a crazy finish. Let's see. One or two more here. Trying to think of some others. I think, you know, the Giants finish earlier in the year was pretty fun when they won their first game on the account of a missed field goal. I don't think I'm gonna go Norwood here. It's a little cheesy, but that was a dramatic finish, of course.
It was one of the most dramatic you've seen in a Super Bowl. Most of these games have been snoozers. So many of them have been.
Yeah. I don't know. There's no such thing as a snoozer in the Super Bowl to me, even if it's not a close game. It's.
You don't think Seattle Denver was a snoozer?
Oh, I was riveted in that game because of Peyton Manning. That's what I mean. There's always.
I enjoyed watching that. That defense in that era was one of the best ever.
Well, yeah, you had a young Von Miller. You had who was the linebacker? He's probably gonna be in the Hall of Fame for the Cowboys. Thomas.
Yeah.
I think it was it Thomas? No, that was the receiver. That was Demaryius Thomas. And then there was the tight end, Julius Thomas. Who was the linebacker? He was a draftee of Bill Parcells, played for the Cowboys, and he finished his career in Denver. He just retired a couple of years ago. He's probably going to be a Hall of Famer.
Not Ware.
Yeah, DeMarcus Ware. Yeah, that's the one.
Okay.
Yeah. Ware.
Oh, I was thinking of the Seattle defense. It was one of the best.
Oh, no, I was thinking of the Denver Broncos defense. Like,
that's why that game didn't. Yeah, at halftime, I knew it was over.
Yeah, I loved that game. See, I don't even care in championship games. I don't care if they're close or not. I'm mostly watching there at that point for like storylines. There's usually always like a storyline or a player or two that I'm just like outwardly rooting for or against.
Oh yeah.
And that was certainly the case with Peyton Manning that year. Knowing it was his last game.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it had to be. You knew that going in. Dylan says, if Jeff Saturday upsets my Eagles next week, I'll lose my mind. Dylan, if the Colts beat the Eagles next week, I'll lose my money. So there we go. It's not going to happen.
I'll lose my faith in everything. If the Colts beat the Eagles. Oh man,
everyone's losing. All right, let's put these in some type of order here. Number one, by definition, like I said, has to be the Titans. And their 1 yard line loss at the hands of the Rams in the Super Bowl. Number two, much as I hate it, has to be New England and Malcolm Butler making that interception to seal the fate of the Seahawks. Totally avoidable. Dumbest coaching decision in the history of sports, but definitely dramatic ending. Number three is tricky for me. There's a few options here. I thought it happened to be John Madden's last game as a broadcaster too, which gave it some significance. I thought the Seattle-Pittsburgh Super Bowl was a really fun game. The Santonio Holmes catch was tremendous. I thought the call of that game was really good. I really enjoyed that game. I didn't mention that one before. I just thought of it now. So that's a contender. Who's three? There's so many. 1 and 2 are easy. The rest of these are going to be like pulling teeth. You know, I can't fully extricate myself from my fandom, so I'm going to say that 96 Niners game with Terrell Owens making that catch stands out for me.
That was fun. I remember that game.
Yeah, so I'm going to put that one at 3. I'm going to go at 4. I'm going to go with the with that Pittsburgh Super Bowl because of knowing going in that it was the last game that Madden was going to call. My senses were more highly attuned, and the fact that it was a game, as you said, Rich, a lot of these games haven't been close. The fact that that game was close for Madden's last call, to me, was like the football gods, you know, saying, all right, we're not going to, we have to have this one. So I enjoyed that. I think the fact that one of the league's storied franchises, the Steelers, won their Super Bowl,
handed that Super Bowl,
won their Super Bowl with Madden's last call. It was absolutely brilliant. Total storybook. I absolutely loved it. So
Madden was still on top of his game, despite the fact it was his last game.
Oh, he was awesome. And paired with Al Michaels and the NBC crew with Tony Dungy and Dan Patrick and Costas, that was just such a great, overloaded broadcast talent.
It was.
Best broadcast
that game
talent.
just sticks with me because the officiating was so terrible.
I don't remember one thing about the officiating. I remember Santonio Holmes' catch.
Well, no, everyone else in the world remembers it. It's because, the NFL had to apologize about multiple calls. And the fact that Holmgren blasted the league and the officiating after the game, and they didn't fine him, pretty much tells me they knew they screwed up. And I thought both teams deserved better.
To me, is one of the greatest Super Bowls I've ever watched, and I absolutely loved it. And it was a very, very compelling game, and it just was close and competitive, and I really enjoyed it. I was happy to see Madden go out that way, and I was happy to see Santonio Holmes make that play. What a tightrope that was. Let's see. So number 5, I guess that's 4. Number 5 for me, I guess just for posterity's sake, I'm going to go with Elway's helicopter. I wasn't really around for the drive, nor was I really paying attention when Norwood missed his kick. I was still a little too young, but I was watching that game. By the late 90s. I was engaged.
Paying attention.
Oh, I bet you were. But yeah, I'm going to go with Elway's helicopter run. It was almost it was almost like a synopsis of his whole career summarized in one play. And this time it paid off for him. So that's going to be my 5th. So there's my list. I'm going 1, the Titans and Rams in the Super Bowl, with the Rams getting the stop on the 1-yard line and secure the win. Number 2, I'm going with the Seattle interception at the hands of Malcolm Butler to lose the Super Bowl. Number 3, I'm going with Terrell Owens' catch in the 97 playoffs. Number 4, I'm going with the Super Bowl between the Steelers and the Cardinals with Madden's last call and the Santonio Holmes catch. And number 5, I'm going with the Elway helicopter run.
I've got your top 3. I have 2 different ones in 4 and 5, although I like both of your choices.
What do you have?
For 4, I have the Bills comeback against the Titans in that AFC playoff game. Down 35-3 in the third quarter, winning 38-35 with a backup quarterback who just got fired as Colts coach. And number 5, the Roger Staubach to Drew Pearson Hail Mary.
Oh yes,
in the late 70s.
That's
it was
a
game winner against the Vikings, who didn't deserve to have that happen to him, but it did.
You talk about a franchise that's star-crossed, man. That team's lost a lot of close games in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they have. And the debate goes on for a lot of people still. Did Pearson push off? Was it defense? Doesn't matter. He made the catch. So whether it was interference or not, he made the catch. But,
right.
And that puts Staubach right up into that status that he still has today.
Oh, is one of the greatest ever.
Yes.
Yep.
For that franchise, yes.
Yep, no question.
True winner.
There you have it. All right, well, there's the top 5.
That was interesting.
That was interesting. A lot of fun. So there we have it. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. Let's get to the NBA over the weekend and what we got ahead for the week. I'll give you some NHL scores as well. And we have news you can use and some baseball hot stuff. That's what's on tap the rest of the way. Back after this, the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now. with a free call. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. That's 800-741-9557. If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. That's 800-826-5884.
All right, we're back. So, why don't you hit us with some NHL scores, Rich?
A few games yesterday. Anything with the local. The New York Rangers blew out Arizona 4-1. That in the early game, Dallas 5, Philadelphia 1, weren't even worth it. Tampa Bay beat Washington 6-3. And that game was over in the first period. San Jose beat Minnesota in a shootout. Best game of the night was the late game. Seattle took a ridiculously stupid penalty with about a minute left and a 1-goal lead. Winnipeg pulled their goalie, so they had a 6-on-4, tied the game with 2 seconds left, and beat the Kraken in overtime 3-2. They deserved a little better. That's what we have from the NHL last night. One interesting thing, though.
What's that?
An AHL game. Jesper Wallstedt, a goalie for Iowa, who's a Minnesota Wild affiliate, not only makes 37 saves, that wasn't enough for him. He scored an empty net goal from the goalie cage. He just flipped it, and it went straight down the ice into the other goal.
Interesting.
That was the first goalie goal in their history. They seldom happen, but when they do, they're a lot of fun.
Okay. An AHL mention on the show. Oh, boy.
I know. We're getting into a rabbit hole you don't want to go down.
Oh, boy. Minor league hockey. Hey, there we go.
Hey, when a goalie scores, I got to talk about it.
You know, I think there was a 12-year-old goalie that scored 5 years ago here in my area.
Really?
Probably. Usually those games are like 40-30 because no one can play.
Well, yeah. It's still fun,
they're
though.
12.
It's still fun, though. I mean, what 12-year-old's going to have the dexterity and the ability to make that shot?
That's funny.
I mean, most pros can't.
There we go. All right. NBA over the weekend. Let's hit a few of these scores. There was a lot.
Let's talk about the game Joel Embiid had.
Yes, that's where we have to start. No question about it.
Oh, my God.
Monster.
And the Jazz still gave them a game.
They did.
How does this happen?
I don't know.
I don't understand what this Jazz team has. But I have to respect it.
I loved the jerseys the Sixers were wearing in this game, by the way. The
Yes.
brotherly love jerseys.
Yes, they are awesome.
And I don't know when Joel Embiid got David Robinson on speed dial and started working out at wherever Robinson worked out, but Joel Embiid is cut this year, like sick. His physique has completely transformed. I mean, he is built like a absolute rock right now. Look at this guy. He's just.
And what was the one thing we always said about him?
A little out of shape, a little heavy,
Yeah,
a little pudgy.
not anymore.
No, he looks like David Robinson, and he played like David Robinson. 59 points My goodness, that's a career high, by the way.
If the 59's not impressive enough, 11 rebounds, 8 assists, 7 blocked shots.
You see, when an athlete has a game like this, I don't think people who haven't coached or played at some level, doesn't have to be at the NBA level, just in general, I don't think there's a lot of fans that truly appreciate the pure amount of energy that it takes to have a game like that. Forget the skill and the just everything else. The just amount of energy. I remember when Kobe scored 81. I remember thinking to the very first thing I thought was, man, this guy has a lot of energy. Because it takes so much energy to do something like that. I don't think people understand that.
Oh, you have to understand that.
Oh, I'm watching this game and I'm thinking to myself, well, watching the highlights anyway, and I'm thinking to myself, this guy just keeps going and going and going. And it's like the Energizer Bunny over here.
I know. And it showed. It just showed. Utah had no chance of stopping him. By the second quarter, they're just concentrating on stopping the other guys.
Right. Yep.
And outside of Maxey's 8, who did anything for them?
It was all Embiid, man. He was, and you know, that's the thing about great players. They can, on random nights, just win you a game like this individually. That's what makes them great versus good. You mentioned the Knicks scoring 100.
I mean, the Jazz played a solid game. They had 5 guys in double figures, knew they couldn't stop the head cheese, so let's just shut everybody else down. And they did a nice job, but that's a no-win situation.
Oh, it definitely is. The Knicks scored 135 and still lost. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with 37 and 8 to lead the way for the Thunder in the 145-135 win. Cam Reddish, we have a Cam Reddish sighting, Rich. They brought him off mothballs, and what do you know? He played good. Imagine that.
He had no choice but to play him. He actually started and played 32 minutes. He had 26 points and 4 steals.
It's like he's good or something.
They tried something different in the lineup. And unfortunately, I thought they went away from it a little too quickly. Isaiah Hartenstein started off strong. And he finished strong. You did not see him in between.
True.
Randall had 25 and 10 playing the forward spot. Reddish started at guard. I don't know if he's trying to find a spark or what, although he got a nice one off the bench with Quickly. And let's just, as much as SGA played a great game, Dort had 24 for them. Josh Giddey had a 24-point triple-double with 10 rebounds and 12 assists. Is this kid just not getting better and better every time he plays?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, between him and SGA, you bring back Holmgren next year. I mean, this team, and now ostensibly another reasonably high pick. Look, this team could be closer than people realize to being competitive.
What if they get Wemby?
Well, then how do you manage him and Holmgren? I think at that point you might have to move Holmgren.
You might have to.
Because they're too, I would think, to play.
But imagine what you could get.
Yeah. Or imagine what you can get for Wembyana. They wouldn't trade him. But
I wouldn't trade him. But yeah, the guy that after Reddish, the guy that impressed me the most was Quickly. 5 assists, 3 steals with those 25 points.
I want to jump over to the other New York team, the Nets losing to the Lakers 116-103. Fair is fair. We give him plenty of slings and arrows. At least for his flowers. He played the way you want to see him play. 37 big points, but more importantly, 18 huge rebounds.
I wish he would do that more often. It's so much fun watching him play like that.
Didn't block any shots, but he changed a bunch of them and was just a dominant force. And that's what you want to see. No LeBron in this game. They got a nice contribution from Lonnie Walker and Austin Reeves. Those two combined for 40 points. Walker 25, Reeves with 15.
Reeves started too and looked good defensively. He made Joe Harris's game. He gave him fits.
Not a good shooting performance, but a good performance overall from Russell Westbrook off the bench. He did struggle to shoot, only 4 of 15, but he did have 14 points and, more importantly, 12 assists in 27 minutes on that second unit, which was good for a I think that's a plus sign. I can't read anymore. My eyes are going to hell. I think that's a +6. But anyway, he had a good game off the bench. So now, look, the Lakers at this point, if they're going to make a season of it, they got to get back to 500, right? Like, that's the first step. So they're now 7 games under. They're 3-10. And next game they have Detroit, a winnable matchup, right? Like, so if you're the Lakers, you want to see wins start to pile up here, right? Like, you got to start getting some of these W's. So
that's the thing. You have to put a little streak out.
Right.
You really do.
They realistically, their next 5 games, right? They're playing home to Detroit, home to San Antonio. They should win both of those games. They really need to. Yeah, they need to. Then they're going on the road to Phoenix. You could take that as a loss. They're probably not going to beat the Suns. Then you on the road again against San Antonio in back-to-back games. You should win those. Like, if they're 4-1 over these next 5, and now here they are sitting at 7-11, that's still not good, but you got something to maybe build off of. But this 5-game stretch, and I'm extending it out a little bit here too, just to kind of see where else they got. That 5-game stretch going through November 26th, I think is really important for them.
It is, but the thing is, with this team, they could go 4-1. They could go 1-4.
No, they could. That's what I mean.
You're right. There's no rhyme or reason with this. Funny thing is, you say AD had no blocks. They had 2 blocks as a team. Guess who had them? Westbrook and Patrick Beverly.
Go figure. Why not?
That's great.
Isn't that great?
Durant had a nice game. Who is Edmund Summer?
I don't know.
I don't follow the Knicks closely, but he started.
I'm surprised because it's not summer anymore. It's winter.
With Harris. He had an assist. I mean, he even scored some points, but no Ben Simmons, no Seth Curry. You have no reason to play either of these guys. Are either hurt. I didn't see them on an injury report.
It had to be something because, like, they're not just going to not play those guys, especially Curry. I mean, he's their most consistent shooter.
I mean, and despite the fact Lonnie Walker did nothing else, those 25 points were clutch. They were key.
They mattered.
And he had a lot of them when he needed to have them.
That's right.
One more game that interested me last night. The Cleveland game. I pretty much took it as a loss when I saw hours before the game that Allen and Mitchell weren't playing. And I get that. Okay. Both a little banged up. Playing a team that wasn't doing a lot. If we have to sit both of them, let's do it today. Rubio didn't play either. And they missed his veteran leadership off the bench. They lost by 5, but did Darius Garland try to make this a game?
Oh, man, he absolutely went crazy. What did he finish with?
51 and 6 assists.
Oof. 2 50-point games in one day, huh? In the NBA. Pretty good stuff.
He scored 27 in the fourth quarter alone. Now, Karl Anthony Towns had a nice night because he was going up against Lamar Stevens.
Yes.
Without Allen in there. Allen would have had Gobert, and Mobley would have had Towns.
Towns, right.
D'Angelo Russell had 30 and 12. He had a nice night. Edwards had 10. Taurean Prince had 19 off the bench. Nice game. Stevens did have 15. Love had 14 in a starting role. Mobley only had 4, but he had 13 boards. And Gobert was a tough assignment for him. Karis LeVert had an off shooting night with 13. LeVert having a better night and a little more from Love, they could have won this game. But they didn't. There's 4 Cavs that have hit the 50-point mark in franchise history. Now that Garland's done it, you'll get 3 of them, but try to give me all
4. All right. Well, Garland, LeBron.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, did Mark Price ever do it?
No.
Who would the third be then that you thought I would get? Mitchell. Oh, right, Mitchell.
Nope.
Oh, he hasn't done it yet. I thought he had. Oh,
not yet.
He was close. He had like 40 something.
Yeah.
Wow. If it's not, did Ron Harper do it?
No. You're way off. Much more recent.
Huh. Kyrie Irving. It has to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
You probably will never get the 4th. He was a journeyman big man who came to them in the expansion draft.
God.
So he got to play a lot in that first year. He had a long career, but he was like a backup center. But Walt Wesley had 50.
Oh, yeah, I would never get that.
In one game in their first year.
Wow. That's something, man. It's like one of my favorite NBA characters, Fred Carter, has been dining out on the fact that he was the leading scorer on the worst team in NBA history for like 50 years. He goes, look, man, someone had to score the points we did score.
Right. Now, I mean, going back to the Embiid game, his final numbers look like a 2K line.
Oh, they do. Oh, they look like, yeah, they're out of the rack.
With the game set on rookie mode.
I'm telling you, man.
He's the first player in NBA history to score 50, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 blocks in one game. When he plays like this, and like how he did it against Atlanta earlier last week, he's as dominant as any player.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, look, when you look at I go back to his physique, but I mean, when you look at the way he's built, and then you add in the known footwork and the known skill.
He's got Olajuwon footwork.
He does. And he's built like David Robinson now.
Yes.
Like, that is a scary proposition. I mean, and then you add in the fact that the way the NBA is built right now, at least back in the day, you had guys who, at least from a physical standpoint, looked like they should be guarding them. You had Alonzo Mourning, you had, forget even the greats like Patrick Ewing and stuff, but you had like the Oakley types, you had the Greg Ostertag types, like the guys that looked like they should at least physically be guarding someone like that. Like now, so many teams trot out a 6'8", 230-pounder as their center on a regular basis. Embiid's going to eat these people. I mean, like, so you add that into it too, and it's a wonder he doesn't have more of these games, because the truth is, there's a lot of nights when you look at the guy guarding Embiid and you think, oh, that's no, like that can't happen.
Yeah. Yeah, just incredible player.
He really is.
I do want to ask you about one more game. Is it officially time to worry about the Warriors?
Certainly as a title contending team, I think
they lost to Sacramento again.
Yeah, that's 2 times in like a week or so they've lost to Sacramento.
Yeah. And Domantas Sabonis, he had himself a night.
He's a good player too.
26, 22 rebounds, and was 2 assists shy of a triple-double. De'Aaron Fox had 22 and 8 with 3 steals. Keegan Murray had 21 and 3 steals. The only guys that really, and Malik Monk had 12 off the bench. The only guys that really looked like anything against the Warriors or against the Kings were Wiggins and Curry. Jordan Poole had a decent game, and it was nice to see Dante DiVincenzo get a little run.
Yep.
He had 5 and 5 rebounds in his minutes. But has to be officially time to worry about this team.
I think so. I think we're getting there. I
Yeah.
really do.
I mean, and Draymond Green had 11 assists, so that's what he's there to do. But they can't possibly be a title contender. They don't look like one. They don't at all.
No, they don't. You're right. I mean, it's hard to watch.
I know.
Particularly Klay Thompson.
Yes. I didn't think he would ever come back to what he was, but I didn't think he would sink to this. I just don't I don't get it.
I don't get it either. It's a tough one.
And there were 2 more games last night. One surprise, the Wizards beat Memphis 102-92. And Denver goes into Chicago and annihilates them 126-103. Denver's another one of those teams that just looks like when they hit on all cylinders, they could be scary. Very scary.
Oh, Denver's really good. And Porter had, 31 in this game?
Yeah. Murray had 23. Jokic didn't score. Not much.
What did he have, 15 or something?
No, he almost had a triple single. He had 8.
Oh, God.
But he had 14 assists and 3 steals.
Triple single.
Bruce Brown gave him 12 off the bench and 11 rebounds. Andre Drummond had a double-double off the bench for Chicago, 13 and 11. Because Vucevic just got Jokic ate his lunch, and I did not think that would happen. DeRozan had an off night. But I did not expect that. That was just a beatdown.
Yes, it was. Yep. No, I mean, Denver's good. I think Denver, personally, I think they're the best team in the Western Conference. I really do. I think this is a team that is well built. I think they have a lot of guys who know their role on this team. And I think there's a natural order between the top 3 guys. And I think all 3 of the top 3 guys serve separate functions. There's no duplication or redundancy of skill, of style. I really like this team. I think this is the best team right now in the Western Conference. Are the Denver Nuggets.
Healthy Porter and Murray means a lot.
Means a lot. Makes a big difference.
And if Porter can stay healthy all year, they could do some damage.
No question.
Can you imagine if Andre Drummond came off the bench for that team?
Oof.
I mean, think about that.
Yeah, he would help them so much. He would really help them a lot.
It's a lot of NBA.
It's a lot of NBA. Let's take our last break. We'll come back. We got some news you can use, and we'll go from there. It's the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave. All right, we're back. We got a couple minutes before we get into news you can use. So one thing I wanted to point out today, real quick too, while we have a minute, is that I got on the broadcaster today at the start of the show, John Murphy of Buffalo. Bill Cowher got on the Jeff Saturday hiring hard. I've never seen Cowher this upset about anything. He went crazy. And of course Saturday won his first game, but I just wanted to nothing to add to it other than I just wanted to point out how rare it is for a coach to get on a coach like that. That you don't see that very often.
But it's not really a coach. It was someone who was handed the coaching job. And I understand where Cowher's coming from. What does that say to assistants that
Right.
have worked all this time
Well,
to
welcome
deserve that job?
welcome to my world, Bill. I mean, like 3/4 of the people that work in sports broadcasting aren't broadcasters, they're retired players and coaches. Hell, you're one of them.
Right.
So let's not fail to point out that pot calling the kettle black a little bit there. I mean, Bill Cowher does not get the job he's had for the last 20 years if he wasn't a coach first. Just
right.
Oh
yeah.
that's just what
and
it
when
is.
he came in, he was not good.
Right.
It
So
took him a long time to find that. They would not have given a broadcaster that many years to find his footing.
no, or if he did, that broadcaster would have found that footing calling high school, Division III, low Division I, maybe Stony Brook, maybe Fordham, maybe Hofstra back when they had a team. And then you at some point, you're like, oh, well, this guy's pretty good. That's how real broadcasters come up through the ranks most of the time.
You've certainly paid your dues as a play-by-play guy.
Right. I mean, we all do. And it's not,
Yeah.
It's just how it is. I mean, for every once in a while, you'll get like a random guy that kind of jumps out to the start right from the beginning. But for the most part, that's how it goes.
Most of us have done minor league sports.
Right.
And are still trying to work our way up.
Yeah. So just a little bit of pot calling the kettle black there from Bill Cowher, I think. But, that aside, I see his point too.
I get where he's coming from.
I do
but
too.
I see the hypocrisy in it as well.
Yeah, I understand where he's coming from. And it really probably should be that way. But it should be that way for broadcasters too. All right, what do we got for news you can use?
Okay, I figured I'd let you take the first story because you got something on Jacob deGrom.
Yes.
Let's start with that.
The Texas Rangers have been informed by deGrom's camp that he is interested in signing with them. First of all, why? I mean, this is a disaster of an organization. I know they just hired Bruce Bochy. That's a good
And they
credit
signed a lot of people so far. They've gotten a few players. I don't understand it, to be honest.
Yeah, it seems like a rags to riches attempt here by this organization. That's an organization I wouldn't trust with the last few years of my career. There's no way I would do that because deGrom's 35. He's got the injury problems. If he plays another 5 years, I'd be surprised, right? So with that as a backdrop, even if they're trying to be the Padres right now and trying to sign everybody in a quick fit of spending to try to become relevant quick, do you trust this organization to pull that off? I don't. Now, if this was...
And to stay with it after one season.
Right, exactly. Yeah, if this was another organization, let's say this is
the Red Sox.
Oh, yeah, the Red Sox or San Francisco, like where we're hearing with Judge. Okay, they've been good and even great recently, both of them. They've won titles recently, both of them.
Yeah.
And they've hit a bit of a rough patch, but I trust them to navigate that and come out the other side. The Rangers have been good for 3 years in my 30 years following baseball. I mean, really, that was it. They had that one little stretch with like Mike Napoli and company where they were like really good. They went to a World Series in there. They went to one other ALCS. And that's it. Like the rest of the time, I forget they're even in baseball. I mean, they're less relevant than Kansas City. They're less relevant than Detroit usually is. This is a team that is as irrelevant as there is in pro sports on a consistent basis. I'm not signing with that team.
I'm with you.
And if I'm the Mets And DeGrom brings this to me. Let's say the Rangers, I mean, because the only way they're going to be in it, I would think, is to overpay. I'm going to tell them, look, we'll pay you what you're worth, but we're not competing for top dollar with a dumpster fire. We're not a dumpster fire. Even at our worst, we were much more relevant and competitive than this team's ever been, except for those couple of years. If you want to go there, that's you. But, we'll give you a good offer. But, we feel that we bring more to the table than just money and years by comparison to a dumpster fire like that.
Couldn't agree more. His best bet would be to sign with the Mets. But what is the offer?
Yeah, I mean, it has to be close. Obviously, if it's not close, I
Right.
understand at a certain point money talks. But, man, that's a rough organization to sign with.
Okay, here's something for you. Syracuse has offered a scholarship to Kyan Anthony, Carmelo's son. What's your take on that? 6'3" guard. He's a sophomore in high school. He plays at Christ the King. He's already had offers from Manhattan, Bryant, George Mason, and Memphis.
Wow.
So Hardaway's on him early.
Interesting. Will Coach Jerry, Melo's former running mate at Syracuse, be on the staff to coach Melo's son?
I think so.
Wouldn't that be a fun storyline?
I think so, because I think Boeheim would like the chance to coach both father and son.
That would be pretty cool.
It would. I would like that. What else do we have? The Miami Heat are ending their arena deal with FTX after the cryptocurrency company just collapsed into...
That was the guy I was talking about, yep.
Yeah, into dust.
Yep. Well, it's interesting. There's been a couple of organizations that have gone with the crypto naming rights. Of course, Crypto Arena in LA.
And
is the other one. That's on the fritz too.
That's perilous at best.
Yep, it is. I'm telling you, it's not stable. It's just not.
Now, let's see. I have something else. I'm not going to say the name of the company or the CEO. A gambling company out of Pennsylvania whose system went haywire yesterday, and the CEO was there himself with the IT staff trying to solve the problem, which ended up a printer problem, as it always does.
Printers are the worst.
He reached out on socials for help, for IT help. The company that got back to him, or entity that got back to him, NASA. And I'm thinking to myself, well, with your record this year, I think I'll pass.
Yes. I would say so. All right, we got time for one more.
One? Oh, wow. I thought I had more than that.
We could do maybe two more.
Zach Greinke wants to return to the Royals for his 20th season. He's a class act. He's a good pitcher still. I would love to see him go to a contender for 1 year. But loyalty means a lot to him. What's your take?
I mean, good for him if that's, look, that's the Vince Carter approach, right? Like Vince Carter was more about being able to play, not so much with a specific team, but being in a position where he's actually on the court more than just like a bench warmer on a contending team. He wasn't a championship or ring chaser. Neither is Greinke. So, hey, different strokes for different folks. I probably wouldn't want to play my last year on a team like that. But, hey.
He had a good year last year on that team.
He did.
Quite interesting. One more. Despite all the phone calls to Cleveland, the Guardianas will not trade Shane Bieber this offseason. Your thoughts, good sir?
Makes sense to me. I mean, like I always say, if you're going to be eventually good, you have to have good players. He's a great pitcher. They were a surprise team this year. Why would I move my best pitcher right as we're looks like we're moving in the right direction as an organization? Why would I do that? It doesn't make any sense. I agree.
Good question. Very good
Yeah,
question.
yeah. We want to keep good players. Thank you very much.
Yes. And Cleveland seems to go through these things. What they do, excuse me, when they do keep players,
Yes. Yeah, they're right.
They don't fire sale every year.
No, they don't.
They'll get rid of aging players.
Mm-hmm.
And Santana was proof of that last year.
Yes.
But they keep young players and good players around as long as they possibly can.
Well, there we have it. That does it for us today. We'll be back tomorrow. Great to have you aboard. Rick Tittle's next. It's the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.